There we go, everybody. Welcome to the, I guess, second last Spin Legal of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's episode 97, which means 98 will be next week. We'll have a bit of fun with next week. I think maybe we'll have how about we have to have crackers?
Yeah, I have crackers and goodies.
Crackers and goodies, yeah.
Which will maybe a bottle of wine.
Okay. And what, give away a bottle of wine?
Or somebody might be whining that day.
I would be whining, that's for sure.
That's why we have a festival here in Niagara region. It's called the Gripe and Wine Festival.
But you never heard that here on Spin Legal. Okay, nope. So if you need to contact us, you can do so on 905-688-5598 and email Angela at their email address, which is Angela at weareinvictus.legal, and my email address is Peter at weareinvictus.legal. All right, and you can go to our website, which is weareinvictus.legal. There you go. Okay, so we're going to talk tonight about something that most people absolutely hate, but yet they do it every day of their lives. I guarantee it. I guarantee those. Unless you stay at home 99.99% of the time, you deal with this every day of your life. I guarantee it.
And it's not going to the dentist, okay?
Yeah, it isn't going to the dentist, that's for sure.
Nothing else.
That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. It isn't going to the dentist because you're not going to do that every day of your life. That's for sure. Right? But let me ask you this. Who loves a contract?
I like writing them. And I like enforcing them.
But I bet that most people out there don't like contracts. I get told almost every day, I don't like contracts. I don't like contracts. I can't understand them.
Yeah, or they come back to bite people.
Yeah. And hey, a lot of people, it's like, so I say to people, so do you go shopping? Yeah. How frequently? Do you do that almost every day? And most people go, oh, yeah, I buy cigarettes, I buy coffee, I buy this and that and the other. You know, it used to be years ago, people would buy a newspaper every day of the week, right? So I say, well, you then partake in a contract every day of the week, don't you? And they go, no, I just buy things. Well, buying's a contract.
Mm-hmm.
You pay money for goods or services.
Absolutely.
Right. So, hey, I want a jar of Coke or whatever it is, right? I pay money and I get what is in the juice that's in.
A while ago, just went down the street and I bought a coffee and a few goodies and some stuff, brick biscuits and things like that for Peter. And
hey, you use your phone to make a phone call, right? You know, to your friends, to your, darling husband or wife, you've got a contract. Even if you've got a pay-as-you-go phone, you've got a contract.
Yep.
Now, that pay-as-you-go phone contract may actually run out at the end of the month.
Yep, right? And you just pay as you go as needed.
Yeah.
I just have one where I bought a phone with it, but then after that, I could stay on Freedom as long as I want or go to someone else.
Yeah. And
but most of my money that I pay Freedom has to do with the phone, the two phones.
Yeah. And let's be honest about it. If you love shopping, you love contracting.
Oh, yes.
And I hear it already. I've heard it a dozen times. No, I love shopping, but I hate contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard it dozens of times before, but this is actually where you need to pay attention and because what matters in every contract is terms and conditions matter, don't they? Mm-hmm. And remember this about contracts. I tell this all the time to people. You write a contract not for when things are going well. Hey, Angela, can I have a job? Yes, Peter, I've got a wonderful job, just the right position for you. It'll suit you for the rest of your life. You don't write the contract because of that job, because of that promise. You write the contract for when that goes wrong. You want the contract for when Angela and Peter are no longer seeing eye to eye.
Yeah, or when I'm ready to kill him.
Yeah.
It's a sad day in hell.
Yeah. Well, it's so at the end of the day, you got to learn to love a contract. Yeah.
Contracts are things that, well, they also keep people safe. Keeps people from doing certain things that they might not otherwise do.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, terms and conditions matter. Right. And okay, it's possible for me to say, hey Angela, let's shake on this. I'm going to buy your cell phone off of you. I'm going to pay you $500, and that's it, done and dusted. We don't need to see each other ever again, right? So we shake on it. We buy it. I take your cell phone. You take my $500, and we're good.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Facebook Marketplace? This happens all the time, or Kijiji.
Yeah.
People buy things from each other all the time.
Yeah. Well, you saw I bought a mint plant for my wife the other day, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. That's growing well at home, by the way. So thank you for that Facebook Marketplace user who sold it to me. Yeah, it's interesting. And the point being is that, okay, so we're talking about there a mint plant, the terms and conditions is generally speaking that, hey, they'll provide a plant that's actually growing, and you provide the money.
Yeah, that's a good condition. You look at it; it's in good condition.
Yeah,
and whoever's selling it to you has looked after it, so it says, okay, here's the money, and then you can take it. Yeah,
and like the couch behind you on that picture, hey, Angela, I'll pay you $1,000 for that couch, okay?
Oh yeah, but I'm still going to need a couch. Maybe we could trade with the one in my other office.
Yeah, or maybe I'll pay you $1,000 for the piano.
Oh yeah, the piano. Yeah, I haven't learned how to play it yet.
But everything is up. Got a price to it, right? At the end of the day, and its terms and conditions matter. So it's like, yeah. So as soon as you learn to play Bach's, second concerto in A minor, I will buy the piano for $10,000 from you.
Oh yes.
Right.
You'll buy the piano, but you wouldn't be able to still play that because I still know how to play that.
Because you don't know Bach's concerto in A minor, do you?
I listen to it. I have it at home. But whether I can play that well, I don't know.
Yeah. But you see, that could be a term and condition, right?
Yeah.
There's been some rock and roll, there's been some rock and roll contracts that have been, played out like that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Like record contracts.
Pardon me? Yeah, record contracts.
3 records.
Yeah.
Within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And it'll come with a tour deal, and the record company will sponsor that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, this is a very interesting thing, things that happen.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question for you. What's the worst type of term that you could find in a contract?
Any term that's very ambiguous.
Okay, that's fair. But I would think that on a personal basis, that the term in the contract, if it's against your personal requirements or your personal, what you want to get out of the contract, and that's a bad term, isn't it?
Yeah, like say, for instance, if it's an employment contract, if you're going to be setting up an anti-competition clause, that's difficult, particularly if it's a common field, right? Where, you cannot practice law in the province of Ontario. Hey, if you ever leave this firm, you
Oh
can't
yeah,
enforce that. These things
yeah,
you can't enforce. However, I could say, you can't take our clients. You can't take information from our firm, even if you were to start your own firm. You can't take any of our employees,
yeah,
and those types of things you could enforce because they're
yeah,
very specific
yeah.
and they're very specific to your firm and the value of your firm. But
Absolutely.
when it starts coming things like, oh, you can't practice law, you can't tell a person not to be able to practice law. He can go out and practice law in your backyard as long as he's not taking anything from you.
Yep. Okay, so what's the best type of term that you might find in a contract? I'm going to say, leading off again, the one that is that advantages you the most, probably.
Big money.
Yeah, and a lot of that, it's like, okay, so now you got a contract. Got a contract. It's great. You're going to buy this device from me for three cents, and you're going to sell it for $300.
Yep.
You'll take that contract every day of the week, won't you?
Oh, yeah. I'll
Right.
be making lots of money
Exactly.
selling Peter's cell phones.
Yeah. So you're looking at it and you think, I'd be a fool not to take that contract.
Hmm.
Buy a thing for 3 cents in 3 cents and sell it for $300. Yeah, I made $3,000, 3,000% profit.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I do. Just go
minus
immediately
my
to Facebook.
expenses.
I've got cell phones for sale.
Yeah, minus your expenses, of course.
Yep,
But
exactly. Like
but
if you have to advertise or whatever.
yeah, and those sort of things. You've got to look at the contract, though, is really what we're saying here.
Yeah.
Is
The
the
terms of the
terms.
contract are within and they're inheritable within the contract. This
uh,
is what
okay.
people always often get it. Just, but they talked to me before it. They said it wouldn't be doing this. But if
Yeah,
it's not in the contract, it's not in the contract.
and again, hey, let's take that term and condition that I just said. Hey, I'll sell you these at $3 a go, and you can sell them at $300 a go, right?
Hmm.
But you've got to remember there's the other part of that clause, which is, but you must sell 300,000 of them a week,
Yeah, exactly.
right? So that clause might not be as good as you first think it out to be,
Hmm.
right? So you got to peel back the layers and kind of go, oh, that's
Look
nasty.
at it. Yep,
Yeah,
because everything is in and it's within.
yeah,
And then there's also what they call severability, which means if one part of the contract turns out to be null and void or struck down by a court, all the rest of the contract terms are still in force.
yeah. Yeah, and in fact, actually, you can also get some laws that are severable as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Like we've had situations where landlords put no pets allowed in a building.
Yeah.
Okay?
The
But other
RTA
terms of
says,
the contract are valid.
none of that, mate.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. And
And the
there's
other thing is about,
that you can't put into the different contracts.
yeah, and the other thing is about no boyfriends or girlfriends. Well, I'm sorry. I'm bringing my boyfriend or girlfriend over whenever I want to.
Yeah, they can't micromanage your life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So these kind of common terms that we need are something that is vital for kind of most things that we get on. Now, let's move on to one particular type of contract. There's a few contracts that are kind of important to our lives. We get out of school, and probably one of the first things we're going to be going for is an employment contract, right? So whether you're getting out of school at 15, 16, going to university and then get out of school when you
Or if
finish
you get out of
university,
school at 42.
yeah, or get your first job at 42, you're going to enter into an employment contract.
Yeah.
So some of the important points in there are going to be.
Some employers still hire people and say, okay, you're on and we're offering you this much. A lot more employers are actually drafting full contracts for employees.
Well, it's actually, the thing is, if you think about it, for employment contracts, back in the day when my dad was worked as a skilled tradesman, back in the in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 70s, there would hardly have been anything but a handshake. Hey, here's the deal. Come on, your salary is X. But in fact, during those times, well, we had the rise of trade unions, which would have set terms and conditions.
And unions set contracts with the employees.
Yeah. You'd have had laws that would have set terms and conditions of contracts. You'd have had, in Canada, you'd have had Employment Standards Act that would set standard terms and conditions for contracts. So all of those things, all of those things at one time was just a handshake. Hey, come work for me. No longer applies, does it?
Nope.
Right.
Like, you can still do that. People still do things on a handshake, but remember that it still is a type of contract.
Yeah.
You're agreeing, you're offering, you're agreeing, and you're compensating them. But still, one of the things that employers do is that they give out contracts. But usually when there's an employment contract, negotiate it with the employer. Don't just take the contract and sign it. Okay? Take the contract to somebody who knows employment law and have them explain it to you.
Yeah.
And give them some suggestions about where it could be changed. Because employment contracts are written for and by employers or employer-based lawyers.
Yeah. And let's face it, there's things, salary, first of all, how much you're going to get paid. When I say salary, that matters. It's the same whether you're employed on an hourly wage or an annual salary. Same basic principle at hand. Because for the job that you're going to do, which is whatever the job is, where you're skilled at, there's going to be an amount of money that you're going to get paid. Now, the one thing about a salary or a wage is that it is going to be variable over time. So that's something that gets renegotiated on an annual basis.
Yeah, they want to see how well you do.
Yeah.
And then if they see you doing terrific work and they're saying, hey, Joe, come back here, we're going to give you a hike in your salary.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of this, it comes with look also at the job title and, dare I say, where you work. Hey, you may have the most fantastic job in the world with the most fantastic salary, but if you've got to work in the basement, 14th sub basement, or in Antarctica, you might think twice about that. So understand all of the terms and conditions.
If an employer is telling you have to work in a specific place, they have to provide that place for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And it has to be well enough set up so that you can do your job. If it's an outdoors type of job, then they have to provide you with the equipment you need to be able to do that type of job. Or if it's in an office somewhere, they have to provide an office and a setup for you so that you can do your job. And
the other thing about that, of course, is that back in the day when my dad used to work as a skilled tradesman, he actually had to provide his own tools.
Yeah, some of them do this nowadays. Even some contractors or subcontractors, they have to bring their own tools. Be very wary of these kinds of job offers. These things, again, can be negotiated. To say to the employer, I don't have any of my own tools. Okay, well, if you can give me a little bit more in terms of salary, I can maybe rent some.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of ways that these things can be negotiated.
Yeah, and back in the day when for example, as I said, my dad had his own tools. You're talking about tools that would often last a lifetime. Yeah. Right. He would get a level that would last him a lifetime. He would get probably things like trowels wouldn't last him a lifetime, but or hammers for that matter wouldn't necessarily last a lifetime, but you get what I mean. Some of these tools would last a lifetime. Okay. There's another aspect, his starting date. When are you starting the job?
Yeah, generally, a lot of times if you're employed already, but you're looking for a new opportunity, many times you have to give notice to your former employer as to when you're going to start your new job, and you tell that to your new employer as to when you can start. Generally, that's what they ask you in the interview. When can you start if
Yeah.
I were to hire you today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So these are things that are very important because a lot of times people do have to give notice. Okay. Other times people are unemployed. I'll start right now.
Well, actually, though, one, I would almost, as a bit of advice, I wouldn't be saying to anybody, I can start right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you're too desperate.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like you're way too desperate, right?
Yeah,
but
I've had people like that. I've had
again,
people like that come to me, and then I told them, I'm sorry, I can't hire you. And because, then they say, why can't you hire me? I said, the position's filled.
Well, and the other question is, my dad told me about this once though. He had a person. He went to an interview, and the person said, "Can you start in the morning?" Right? Here, back in England, they used to do 1 month's termination clause, right? But he didn't have a job at the time, so he said, "Sure, I can." Right? Problem solved. They asked the question, he just responded, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there was another question about in terms of start date. I had an interesting story. I was working for on a summer holiday job in the summer camp, and at the end of the summer camp, I went off for a tour around England. So I hitchhiked around England, got home, and my mum says to me, "Oh, there's a letter for you." And opened the letter up, and they said, and it was like to start, job offer to start Monday morning. I went, that worked out perfect, didn't it? If I'd have come back later, I came back like about Thursday, and this was already sitting there. She said it'd be there for a week.
Yeah, she'd freak out.
So I called them up the Friday morning, and I said, "Yep, I'll start there Monday." Right. And so that worked out well, right? Okay, so moving on. Start date's important. What the duties and who you report to?
Yeah, there should be a job description of some type given to you, if it isn't already clear, and it should be in writing what your job description is, and to some extent what it isn't.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what happens is sometimes people who have a job description and things become mission creep. Where you start to do everybody else's job too.
Well, and that's important because, for example, if your job description is junior accounts clerk, there's a definition in there because the word junior has been used in there. That basically means that there's a senior accounting clerk in the department as well.
Yeah,
who's going to be able to assist you with that job.
Yeah, who will provide support and assistance as you work.
And so you turn up on Monday morning and your boss says to you, "I'm sorry, but you signed up to be junior accounting clerk. Now you're senior accounting clerk. What do you think about that?" Well, that's a point that maybe you should be a bit worried. I think maybe you need to be a bit worried at that point, right?
Yeah, I would run.
And again, though, if you've been there 6 months, a year, or something like that, and your boss says to you, "Hey, Angela, I'm very impressed with you. The stuff you learned the role of junior accounting clerk really well. I'm impressed how you've managed to deal with these international invoices for us. How about you become my international accounting clerk specialist? Accounting specialist, right?" There's a $1,500 a year rise for you in doing that, right? New job. What we've done there is there's a new job title, there's a new salary.
Yeah, these are things too. And in your contract, you might have something set in for periodic raise reviews.
Yep.
Okay. So if you start on a salary that's kind of lousy, like $36,000 or $38,000 a year, then they might say that we'll review your salary every 6 months. and issue raises as required. Okay, so they'll give you a performance evaluation, or perhaps even just give you a raise. Okay, so there's different things that we put in the contract to help people, and there's also bonuses. So, say for instance, if part of your job has something to do with acquiring new clients or acquiring new sales, based on the sales that you're bringing to the company, there may be a bonus that you get, like either quarterly or at the end of the year or whatever.
Yeah. And those things need to be written in at the time when you start your job.
Yeah, and these things have to be tracked. Okay, to make sure that whoever's human resources or who's responsible has to track all of that to make sure the bonus structure is being
adhered to,
that the person is getting their raise reviews and everything else. Because otherwise somebody is going to get mad and then they're going to quit their job and say there's a constructive termination going on.
Well, okay, so let's get to that particular point, the dreaded point of termination. Terminator. No, not really. At the end of the day, so for example, if your job's going to have a golden handshake, hey, thank you for everything you've done for the corporation, Angela. You can now retire with a $10 million golden handshake.
Some jobs are fixed term contracts. I've had them, okay, where I would work for a year. And I would be getting exactly X number of dollars per month to do X types of tasks at 20 hours a week, right? That type of thing. And I was able to work other places too at the same time. So this type of thing, you know, they say, okay, and then at the day that I'm terminated, then that's done. You can always ask for to see if there could be an extension or there could be some additional contracts, but basically the date that that's terminated, that contract itself is terminated.
And at the end of the day, you need to negotiate any termination clauses at the very beginning of your contract.
Yep, exactly. Be very careful because employers nowadays are hiring top law firms to write out termination clauses, meaning that if you go there and you sign that contract and you work there for 15 years and then you get fired just because the guy decides that they don't like blondes anymore or whatever for no reason at all, that you will only be entitled to employment standards compensation. And you have to be very careful. And there is some employment standards compensation that could give you a bit depending on how you got terminated and so forth. But there is also issues where they're just looking at the basic time in lieu and severance clauses.
And obviously,
there is more if you can go to a wise person who can help you with that.
And this is where I said the point at which you negotiate a golden handshake type termination clause is right at the beginning of the contract.
Yep, exactly.
And you might also be given a golden hello clause within that contract as well.
Exactly. And also too, sometimes if you are headhunted from a previous job, this happens, and you might have to sign a contract saying that you were not induced to come to this job, okay, and that it's acceptable for you to leave your previous position and come to this job. Because what happens is, if they terminate you from this job, guess what seniority you have? Not only this job, but the previous one as well. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff now going on in the employment legal world that has to be attended to both by employers and employees. So I think especially employees who are particularly those at the mid to higher range, they should be reading things and understanding some stuff and negotiating terms before entering into a full-term employment contract. Independent subcontractors are different. They're subcontracting contracts, and they're different because you're given X number of dollars to do specific things, and you can do these specific things at your will, at your time. Okay, and they're not going to tell you to come in at 9 each day. They're not going to tell you that you have to do 15 widgets per week, but you can do as many widgets as you want or as little as you want. So this is independent contractor, and then you can go out to someone else and do a different type of job somewhere else. That's like I had it when I had fixed term contracts. I was able to take other work. when I was doing consulting jobs.
All right.
As
The
long
other,
as it didn't as long as it didn't conflict with the job that I was taking.
yeah. Okay. The other one thing to know also about is there are some other things like buying and selling real property.
Yep, this is another one that many people do. You're going to buy a house at some point in your life, or at least some of us did. Maybe
And,
some people think they're supposed to buy one because they're 22 years old and they haven't bought a house already and they're upset.
and I'm going to make a crucial change to this. And I think you'll agree with this one. So when you're buying and selling or renting real property,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
You
You're
got
going
to
to move out on your own away from your parents.
Yeah.
Most people do. You don't want to have to live in your parents' basement the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay?
And you need
99.9% of us don't want to live in our parents' basement for the rest of our lives. So
Yeah.
eventually you're going to have to rent property or you're going to buy property.
And obviously there's an element here of the location, right?
Location.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Why not? Hey,
Oh,
location, location is a thing that realtors will tell you, right?
yeah,
But
exactly.
it does matter irrespective of where so for example, if you've got a job downtown and you want to be able to walk, it's one of your goals to be able to walk to work. Well, probably having a job that's within 30-minute walking distance to your workplace may be an important thing to you.
Yeah. Or
Right?
bike. Yeah, walk or bike.
Yeah, exactly. So you may be able to, at that point, walk or bike. So that location matters, right?
Yep.
Other times when location matters, obviously all properties are located somewhere, right?
Yeah, they have to be.
Let's
If
be
they're not
honest about it.
located anywhere, you don't have a property.
Yeah, you're not gonna. I'm not gonna be putting an apartment building on a train, am I? That's going to go from St. Catharines to Hamilton and back, am I?
Nope.
It isn't going to happen that, right?
Nor were we going to go in the middle of an ocean somewhere and build a big, huge, high tower.
Actually, the funny thing is about that, did you know that I've seen one recently whereby it was a cruise ship? It's a cruise ship plus, basically, whereby you can actually buy an apartment in this cruise ship plus.
Actually, yeah, people are living in cruise ships.
Yeah.
Right? For those that don't really have attachments to family or whatever, but have a little bit of money to spend, they live on a cruise ship.
And maybe what they're doing on that particular thing is they are now they're retired or something.
Yeah, they usually retired or sometimes even work on the cruise ship too.
That's another possibility.
Like that. And it's interesting. I was reading about that there's people who do that, and I don't know how they get their mail though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You can send me the mail in Costa Rica next week, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, and every 4 weeks it goes to Costa Rica, but every 4 weeks after the week later it goes to Jamaica, and every 4 weeks the week after that it's Dominica, and every 4 weeks the week after that it's Miami. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. So something that's going to be part of your buying contract for your house is going to be description, or for rental property. You need to know, basically, you need to know what kind of property you're buying.
Yeah.
Right? It's probably
like you're buying a 3-bedroom bungalow.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's 1,500 square feet.
Yep.
And it's on lot line, what number, concession number,
That's how they describe them in Canada. Yes, and each country will have a slightly different thing about how it's described, and that's part of your location as well, location information as well. Right?
And for the purposes of one person in our office, without naming the person, meets and bounds description.
Okay, something else that's important, and it applies to whatever type of property you're buying, whether you're buying, selling, or renting. There's got to be a price involved in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, that price could be negotiated in many cases.
Well, it's certainly when you've got a rental contract, you'll start up, let's say, for argument's sake, of $1,500 a month, and you're renting the apartment or the rental property, whatever it is, $1,500 a month. But again, then the landlord has the right to actually add to that based upon what the law might say about a monthly rental fee.
Yeah,
so
sometimes
every
what a
once in a
landlord would do, like say for instance, you go in there and you're renting for $1,500 a month, and you just have the apartment in it, and it's just a one-bedroom apartment on the main floor. But they might say, but I do have a garage space, and I do have another workspace down in the backyard. I could rent that to you for an extra $250 a month if that's what you want. Okay. So these extra things, sometimes the landlord can add on top, and the tenant could say yes or no.
Yep. But the parking space, I'll take that, especially especially at $80 a month. That would do me great, type of thing. But I don't need a workshop right now. But I'll have the parking space. So that's the kind of freedom of negotiation.
So these kinds of negotiations are there, and so forth. And then sometimes these things can go like, or you could say, well, how about it, Mr. Landlord? I'm a real handyman. I know how to fix things. I know how to do things. I actually am a plumber and so forth. So if you could rent that to me instead of paying $1,500 a month, if you can have that rented to me for say $1,350, I can handle all your maintenance for you here.
Well,
there's a lot of stuff that people can do.
Yeah. And that's part and parcel of negotiation that you're dealing with, right? So I put in price, but in fact, actually, when you think about it, price is quite an important aspect because, irrespective of what that price is, it's something we all have to deal with, right?
Yeah, and buying a house too, its price too will make a difference. And that tells you like whether you go, because generally if you're buying a house, the best thing to do is pre-approve yourself for a mortgage.
Well, also
you have an idea how much money you could spend on a house.
Well, and we'll get to a mortgage in a minute. The other thing that you might well do is you need to be, if you were, for example, you were looking in a particular area, you were looking in Burlington for a house, you'd have to know, and I picked that deliberately. For example, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom house in Burlington. I know nothing about the Burlington market, and I picked that deliberately. So
never been in Burlington.
So I'm going to Burlington. I fancy going living there. It's a nice place to live, right? So what does it cost me for a place in Burlington? Well, there's a different price if you want to be by the lake, by Lake Ontario, than if you're going to be further up, in a different region, part of Burlington, right? Maybe if you're near the mall, it might be a different price than if you're near, in just normal housing or apartment.
Near GO Transit, there might be a different price.
Yeah,
because there's a GO Transit station there.
Exactly. Yeah, and that actually all of those factors in and of themselves may impact the price. And the thing is, once you know a local market, you kind of, if I'm going to buy in that neighborhood, the price is going to be $300 a month more than in this neighborhood, for example. Right? Those are considerations that you might and that turns, of course, into a price thing when we're talking about buying a home. If you're buying a home, if I live in neighborhood A, it's going to be $300,000 more than neighborhood C.
Yeah. And then again, if you're the type of person who could fix homes and you're a carpenter and you're handy, like generally when people sell their houses, they like to reno things up and make it ready to move in. Sometimes for some sellers, they may not be able to do that, but some buyers don't care. They'll just go in and they'll fix it the way they want it anyway, so they could do it. So they'll pay you less, but they will be able to get more out of the housing.
Well, in fact, actually, that was what I did when I negotiated our place. We paid we actually offered a lower amount She wanted a lot more than we actually paid, but we offered a lower amount and got got a compromise somewhere through the middle.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of people do. Now people are just renovating and flipping, which I don't agree with. But if you're buying and renovating your house like you did, you stayed there quite a while, right?
Yeah.
So that's different, right? Because what you did is you found the
Yeah,
house,
but buying and flipping,
and you renovated it.
yeah, but buying and flipping is another type of market. It's just a different type of market.
Yeah.
Right. It's a different rulings that come into play. The other thing is terms and conditions may actually matter here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things like, for example, the condition the house is in is going to put the price up or down. And same with the rental unit, the condition of it is going to put the price up or down.
Yeah. There's certain things that realtors know because they're familiar with how things impact the market.
Yeah.
Like say if you have a swimming pool at your house, that may or may not affect your price. It may bring it down in some ways because who wants to maintain a pool in their backyard? Like you may want to think about that.
Well,
right? Like even though it looks nice, hey, when you go in there and you look at the house, hey, but you have to think about it. Somebody's going to have to maintain that pool.
Yeah, and you see, for me, it's like, yeah, I can put my feet into the pool in the summer. That'll be nice and cool for me to sit there by the pool in the summer. Yeah. But I got to now empty it in the winter. No, thank you.
Take all the stuff there. Although I do have clients of mine who I had former clients who actually do that type of work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're very reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Other things you were talking about, disclosure requirements. You may have some of them.
Some of the interesting thing with disclosure requirements, first of all, you have to talk about if there were electrical problems or if there was a leaky basement, hey, and if you fixed it, hey, or do you have a new roof, hey, do you put up a new roof last year?
Yeah.
Things like that you might want to let the buyer know, hey, so that they're familiar with what they might need to do. And the buyer themselves also has a right to check on this. They have a right to bring in an outside home inspector to come in to check, hey, to make sure that everything works right and that the roof isn't actually going to cave in on them by the minute they move in.
Well, it's okay because you buy my house, you've got the residue of a 50-year guarantee for my roof.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, but I could walk into one of your bathrooms and fall through the floor. So these things, there needs to be some disclosure. Hey, you don't have to tell them about every crack, nook, or cranny, but you do have to tell them the major things, that you have done and things that you're still working on. And that could impact the price negotiations. That happened when I bought my house. There was some issue about there was because they were digging around my house and putting in the new weeping tiles, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff they're putting in, and renegotiated the price because some of it we had to do ourselves after we moved in. So we got a slightly lower price on that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, I had to replace the electrical, had to replace the plumbing and everything else over the years because some dodo-bird tried to use our basement as a private kiln.
Okay, so we and for example, we're talking about mortgage here, right? We were kind of covering that maybe have to be disclosure on mortgage, and that would have to be written into the purchase documentation, right?
Yep.
Obviously, that doesn't apply to a rental situation.
No, a mortgage document. If you're buying a property, the mortgagee, the banker, they have a right to know what kind of property you're buying.
Yeah.
And because, first of all, they're insuring it, right? Because you have to get mortgage insurance. And they also want you to insure your house too, just in case it burns to the ground and someone's going to rebuild it.
Yeah, those sort of things is something that will have to be negotiated on a case-by-case basis, dependent upon.
I remember I had to send my I had a report coming back from my home inspector, quite a few pages. So I sent them both to my home insurer and to my mortgager.
Yeah.
Right? So they both got it, and they so that they had information. So because they wanted it. So
Yeah.
be prepared to do that if you do it. But getting a home inspection is a good idea, but go for a reputable one. Hey, ask your friends, ask other people to direct you to a reputable home inspector, especially someone who has had experience as a general contractor, some experience in the trades. That sort of person would be able to tell you, well, this thing is about to fall down in about 2 years, so you better put something in there. Hey, and
The
this is a
irony.
basement. Hey, so you
Yeah.
better put some weeping tile in. So these are things that why it's absolutely essential to do that. It's going to help you in the future, and it keeps the value of your home up, and
Yeah.
also makes your living space a lot more comfortable.
The interesting thing is, I had a home inspector one time who didn't know as much as I did about the house.
Yeah, some home inspectors are useless. They just wake up one morning and hang up their shingles.
So basically, the mortgage person said to him, "Oh, you got to have a home inspection." So we got this home inspector, and it's like, so he went through the place, and he's like looking at something, and I said, "What about that there?" He said, "Oh, I didn't notice that."
Yeah, I had one. He spent several hours in my house. He went around checking every outlet, every light socket, everything. Went down to each of the walls, tapping into the walls to check the floor. It was amazing what he did. Okay? And he came up with a very, very detailed report.
That seems to be overly detailed, but still,
Yeah,
okay.
but he was good. He came with good recommendations from both my realtor and from my lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay? So he was good.
And okay, there's one further thing I'll talk about with houses, and it applies to when you buy a house: title insurance.
Title insurance, absolutely essential. You usually get it through your lawyer.
Yeah.
When you purchase it, because somebody's one day going to say, "Oh, your fence is encroaching on my property." Okay? And somebody's going to start doing that sort of thing, or they're going to start creating an easement that they're just going to be using all the time, all the time, all the time until you realize that it's your property. Okay?
Yeah.
So you have to do something to protect yourself.
Okay, and let's move on from homes and whether rented or bought, to something else. Renting a car. That's You're going to have terms and conditions in that, right?
Yep. Everybody who drives, especially if you travel, you've all rented cars.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
Unless you intend to take that jalopy with you all the way across the country.
Well, I'm certainly not driving my car to California if I'm going to California next week, right?
Absolutely not.
And I'm gonna land at San Francisco Airport and go to the local car rental dealership and say, hey, I want one of them.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep. And then they all have contracts. Okay?
Yeah.
About what you do with that car, how long you can have it, how much you pay on a per day basis.
And you've got things like the cost of the car and the type of car that you want.
And
so, for example, if you
car rental insurance, oftentimes you have credit cards that have that benefit. So
yeah.
you might want to talk to your credit card company to see if they have that benefit on it.
Yeah, and some other things is, for example, if you rent a high class car, it's going to cost you more than if you rent a low class car. Yep. Right. The interesting thing is about cost of car rentals is, say for example, you've got the car that you own at home that you pay $500 or $600 a month on for your lease. You go and find you're going to spend so $600 a month you pay on your monthly lease, right? To rent the same car in the rental car space in a foreign land. You're probably going to pay 3 times that.
Yeah, especially with the currency conversion and so forth.
Yeah. Oh yeah, more than likely. So you probably have to put some expectation in there, and that might be you've got conditions that kind of say, well, maybe I won't rent that thing.
Yeah. And then there's also things too, like you're going to keep the car in good condition.
Yep.
You're not going to use the car for anything that you're not allowed to use it for. Like, don't suddenly become an Uber driver in California, right? Or skip the dishes or whatever. You're using a car to take a tour, whatever.
Well, yeah, but again, again, here's the thing though. You know, if you're renting a car, and it's unlimited mileage. You've gone to San Francisco, it's unlimited mileage, and you rented it for a month, and you drive up to Alaska and back. It shouldn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. There are some cars you do that as long as you're not using it for what you're not supposed to use it for.
But again, you see,
clauses.
yeah, again, if part of the condition of renting that car is that you do not leave the country, well, believe it or not, driving into Canada is leaving the country.
Exactly. We're not the same country as the US. In case you haven't known that, Donald Trump, we're not the same country.
Yeah. And no, so terms and conditions like that, especially if you were to say, if you were to fly to Amsterdam, and you kind of go, okay, I want I've had my tour around Amsterdam. Now I want to rent a car because I'm going to drive around. Well, you can actually drive out of the Netherlands in about an hour and a half.
Yep, exactly. Especially in Europe, you're going to have some fun with that one.
And most, you know, the fortunate thing is most European car rental companies are not limited about where you can drive.
Yeah, well, European has a very different set of values in terms of how they separate themselves and borders and all that stuff.
Yeah. But you have to take that into consideration before you go to the office to rent your car. Where are you taking it?
Yeah, okay. What you're doing, where you're going, the price per day, and also the other thing too is once you go back to turn the car back in, you better fill it up with gas. Because you don't want to turn in a car that's almost near empty of gas and then expect the next person to take it out.
All right, another one here, going skiing.
Yeah, that's another one. That involves
you've got things like resort fees.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm not talking about accommodation here. I'm talking about the right to use the ski resort, right?
Just going there, like Whistler or whatever.
Yeah, ski lift costs money.
Mountain.
Yeah, and you might have to rent skis, right?
Yeah, for people who don't regularly go skiing and don't have their pair of skis, a lot of rental shops there. They would offer you.
Well, in fact, actually. And you can rent or buy the latest in ski wear.
Yeah. And then clothing that you wear if you want to have specific clothing. And they have it all.
But there's another thing I think we got to discuss when it comes along to going skiing is that dreaded waiver.
Yeah.
Hang on, excuse me a minute. I've already got a contract. I'm not signing a waiver.
But what if you break a leg while you ski?
Tough luck.
They're not going to sue the resort.
Yeah, tough luck. Because in fact, actually, the problem with a waiver is what happens is, so you sign a ski vacation, and you're going to Whistler. You said Whistler. I was going to use somewhere else, but hey, Whistler's
Blue
fine.
Mountain.
Right? Yeah, Blue Mountain, whichever way. So you're going to Whistler. And that basically means you've got a contract with the airline to actually get you to BC. You've got a contract now with the coach company to get you to Whistler. So you get to Whistler and you've got you pay the resort fee, you pay the ski lift fees, right? In fact, you might have even already bought them as part of your original
tour package.
Your tour package, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got yourself your shiny new skis because you went to the rental shop, you're flush with money, and you decided, they said to you, you know, these new Atom skis, they're the best on the planet. You know, you can't do without the Atom skis.
And if they come back to us broken, they're yours.
But whatever, you know, so you bought yourself some new Atom skis, and now when you're going out onto the ski slope, the person says, no, you don't, not until you sign your waiver. Right? The problem here is a waiver, and this applies anywhere you go. Waivers are changes to the contract. So the answer with the change to the contract is, I've already signed my contract. Sorry, can't do waivers. Don't have a pen.
But smart people who are writing these contracts or including waivers within them.
Yeah.
Okay? So just watch for the waiver, the wording of it.
Yeah. And don't sign the waiver. Generally speaking, don't sign the waiver.
Yeah. And very often they'd have it all the way through if you just sign it. And then besides the waiver, they might have you initial. There's different things they do. They even do that for rental companies like storage units.
Yeah.
They have you do that. So if your place burns down, that they're not responsible.
Yeah. Even if the fire came from the next unit that was set on fire deliberately by the meth lab in there.
Yep, exactly. And we went through a case like that, and they settled, actually, even though there was a waiver.
Yeah. Okay. Other ones are implied contracts. Talk about them, Angela.
Implied contracts is where I go into a concert venue. I buy a ticket, and I go in, and I buy that. There's nothing in writing other than the price and the ticket, and I get to go and see the concert. There's a place I put my my coat if I have one, and then I go in. And there's also an implied contract that I'm not going to go behind where the concert is and start yelling fire when everybody is.
The other implied contract is you're not going in there and filming filming the star, are you?
Yeah, exactly. But people do it anyway. I've seen it. If you've ever seen the videos of these things, you see people with their cell phones up and everything.
Well, and also the other thing is that you put the light on here, so then you're waving the light, aren't you, like everybody else?
It's interesting. And also too, there's also some kind of implied issue, like if you put it's, or if you go into a meeting, for example, and there's a cloakroom, you put your coat and your purse in there and that sort of thing, so that you can go into your meeting. And that it says, and there's a big sign on there saying, we are not responsible for lost or stolen items. And then somehow somebody gets in there and they start stealing a bunch of coats and money and everything from everybody's purse and so forth, and makes off with it. Yeah, I would still sue. I don't care. I didn't sign anything saying that that I'm going to waive any responsibility for lost or stolen items.
Okay, so you go along by through a so you're going to a meeting in a hotel, and your meeting is by Angel Investors Inc., right? And you go into the hotel. You don't actually buy a room, but you did buy some coffee with the hotel this morning, and you put your items in the cloakroom. And you go to your meeting all morning, and you come out at lunchtime and you say, can I have my coat, please? Ticket number 42. And they go, there's no coat at number 42, madam. You already picked it up earlier on.
Uh-oh.
Who do you sue? And even though I don't really have a contract with the hotel, I'm likely to sue the hotel.
Yep, exactly.
It's not the people who supplied your meeting that are responsible.
No, it's not the meeting people. It's the hotel, because they're providing that kind of concierge service. So they're the ones who are taking responsibility. Yeah.
So just be careful with all your contracts is, I think, what we're basically saying here. Remember, contracts are fun.
Yep. They're fun to write, fun to enforce, fun to sue over. It's great.
And if you owe us any money, by the way, pay now, or we're coming after you.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so it's been fun to be here this evening, and just wanted to say, if you need to contact us, call Invictus Legal LLP on 905-688-5598. Email Angela through Angela at weareinvictus.legal, or me through Peter at weareinvictus.legal. Our website is weareinvictus.legal. And last point of the day is this.
Well, whatever you heard today on Spin Legal, whether it's on this show or any of the 97 other shows, this is not legal advice. If you do need legal advice, then please contact us at Invictus Legal or another paralegal or a lawyer, so they can give specific advice specific to your needs.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And so whatever you do, enjoy your day, buy things, take notice of your contracts.
Read your contracts before you sign them.
Yeah. And if you got questions about your contracts, go ask somebody who's got.
Bring them in.
Yeah.
Let us look at them.
Yeah, and we'll give you an honest answer. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And have a great week, and we'll see you in a week's time, which will be kind of, what would that be? Christmas Eve EV.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. So we'll see you in a week's time in Christmas Eve EV.